mightiest heroes. Earth's mightiest heroes. Earth's mightiest heroes. Cause Ultron Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Ultron Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Ultron Funk gon' give it to you. Avengers assemble, the fight is on. It's the age of Ultron. It's the age of Ultron.
So with that, hi and welcome to After the Hype with me as Brian and John. That's a different type of fuck up, but I'll take it.
Yay. Hello, this is the John.
We also have Ryan here today.
Hello.
Graham.
Hello.
And for the first time in, God, I don't remember how long, Danielle.
Hello.
What was the last episode you were on? Do you remember?
The Mirror horror movie.
The Mirror horror movie.
Oculus.
Oculus?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what?
The Mirror horror movie.
This just gives me an idea for a great new game. You break down a movie in one sentence, and we figure out which movie it is.
Okay, good. So we can start with a really quick, where have you been doing? I can go first. I've been watching this, it's a really tiny show. I'm not sure if anybody's even heard of it. One or two people recommended it to me like a while ago, and I just kind of finally got around to it. House of Cards. I just finished the first episode of season 2 last night, which was like, oh, fuck. But on that, I've enjoyed it. It is a very good show. It was massively overhyped to me by those one or two people, a.k.a. fucking everybody in the entire world. It is a very competent, well-written, well-acted show. But beyond that, didn't mean to do that. But that's it for me. Somebody else can go.
I'll go next. I've been watching Netflix shows since we no longer have cable.
Like House of Cards?
No. That was hyped and underhyped, and I was like, no, not me. Not for me. I watched Jessica Jones, actually.
I liked it.
I dug it. It was good, and it had a kind of a concise story in there, and good characters, and Kristen Ritter's pretty cool. And David Tennant is always cool.
All right, so been rewatching Misfits. It's kind of the British take on Heroes, I guess people describe it as, but I think it's way better without ever having
everyone.
seen Heroes. It's not BBC, I believe it's Channel 4. It's totally awesome. A group of like young offenders get sentenced community service, and then through a storm get superpowers, and it's absolutely amazing. In rewatching it, I realized how incredibly sexy it was.
It is pretty
Which
sexy.
is very pleasing for me. I love it. It's a perfect blend of humor and action, and it's super unpredictable and very clever.
Next. Yeah, I've been reading books, surprisingly.
What?
Yeah.
Is that?
Books. It's 2 O's and a
Like
K.
boobs?
Those are the ones
Yes.
with little like bubbles and like pictures in them, right? Of characters, panels.
Sure.
Books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are things
Braille?
you can color in, right?
Oh, you can color in them too, yeah.
I've been coloring in the ones that I like, drawing pictures as I'm reading what's happening.
Oh, is that what those library things are for, too?
They're full of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've been
Holy
going
shit.
through Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So I'm on book 3 now.
You got one more, and then it starts going downhill.
Yeah. So, and then also with finishing each book, we've been watching each corresponding movie. So.
Fuck, I just watched the first movie
well
last night. I love
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I mean, and like most things, there's way more detail in the books than in the movies, which obviously makes sense. But yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It's a fun. They're very quick reads.
And
obviously.
surprisingly well written.
Yeah.
Something about these book things too, but I've been reading a couple comic books that aren't Marvel and are kind of really cool.
Oh, nice.
This week was the launch of #1 of IDW, or no, I'm sorry, it's DC's Batman meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
I bought that. I haven't read it yet.
which could be interesting. I won't really talk about it because there's another comic book that is overshadowing everything I've been reading this year. Grant Morrison's CLAUS.
Is that good?
Oh my god, it's so good. Boom Studios, it's like they describe it as Santa Claus Year 1 because comic books love saying Year 1. I've been loving Doctor Strange because some of the colorful magic artwork, but this one trumps it by far.
All right, so we're going to move into today's episode, which is going to be on this little movie some people might have heard of, Avengers Age of Ultron, a.k.a. Avengers 2. None of the other Marvel movies happened.
I watched Age of Adeline.
Well, you just ruined my whole argument.
So Avengers Age of Ultron came out. Wow, I can't pronounce anything today. Came out on May 1st earlier this year. It cost a whopping fucking $250 million to make it. And
I heard it was supposed to come out April 1st as a joke.
Of course.
We're still laughing.
The thing about it is that from what I understand, it probably actually cost a lot more than $250 million, but they didn't want to actually say the right number because people would go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It ended up making worldwide $1.4 billion, which Disney has said was a
I
disappointment.
know. It's so funny.
They said that was not enough money to line their pockets. They expected it to make $2 billion, and they're upset that it didn't. Sorry, guys, you can only have $1.4 billion.
Major bummer, bro.
Poor Disney.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But because of that, they're
I hope
cutting
they don't go bankrupt. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, they had no other movies this year.
They better invest in another intellectual property.
That's how that works.
So I'm going to read a review from Metacritic. It's going to be really short and sweet. I am cutting it down a little bit. This guy rambles for a while. So I'm just going to read the first line of his review, and I think that'll kind of get the gist across. So it comes from Salvario, Salvaro. He gave this a 0 out of 10. This is all the review I'm going to read. Simply put, this shit was lame.
Yeah.
0 out of 10.
Yeah.
wow.
It's a harsh review.
Yeah.
I think a little too harsh. I actually kind of enjoy the movie, but that's fine. And now we're going to move really quickly into the breakdown, as you can hear people shouting in the background.
They agree with him, apparently.
This shit is lame.
Lame!
It's so lame.
Okay, so
For the-
Danielle gets to do the breakdown today.
Yay.
She's so excited.
You just can't hide it.
Ready?
Oh, yes, absolutely. All right, so we're going to start with an Avengers raid on an Eastern European Hydra base where we meet Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Tony Stark steals Loki's scepter and uses it to create artificial intelligence called Ultron. He goes crazy. Doesn't mean to, but he's just bad. He destroys Jarvis. We get Jarvis back in Vision. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver get on the Avengers side. Oh, but I was so close.
You were actually pretty
45
close.
minutes into the movie.
So sadly, I have to make fun of you now, and I will say your breakdown was as disappointing as the use of Quicksilver in the movie.
I deserve that.
That was an insult I actually had preloaded because I just assumed you weren't going to make it. After your text of like,
I'd
No, I
love
believe
to.
I said I believe in me with a shooting star emoji. So
that's true. Okay, so let's move into the episode today. I'm going to try to do this a little bit more segmented today so we can try to get through it a little bit quicker. Because otherwise I think we could talk about this fucker for days and days and days and days.
Let's do it.
Let's not.
Okay.
And that's it. Thanks for coming.
That was it for After the Hype. We're done.
All right, so I want to start with the actors because I think that's kind of what brings everybody
Together.
yeah, kind of brings everyone together, kind of brings people to the thing. And this one had a lot of stuff behind the scenes work that was probably a little too public, which was the pay for the actors, which kind of isn't our business. I think
Yeah.
like, I don't give a fuck what Robert Downey Jr. got paid or Thor or anyone.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you made more than I'll ever make my entire life. I don't give a fuck. Did I like your movie? Is all it comes down to for me.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'll say about the actors in this time, I thought all of them did a great job.
They did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, it's one of the few things. I mean, Joss Whedon is good with actors. He's always been good with actors.
Yep.
He might
Yep.
be shit with female characters, but he does a really good job with everyone, the characters that they have. And
He understands how characters talk to each other. and that's
people
that's a slight
in
distinction,
dialogue.
but like
Yeah.
they work well together.
it feels like that's
Yeah.
that'd be like a slight like compliment, but a lot of directors don't get that very, very crucial thing of how does Iron Man talk to Thor?
Yeah, how they interact and how
How do the
all
two-
of them as an ensemble work together. And for an ensemble piece like this, for the Avengers, you really need to feel the team of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's subtle things. They're gonna at this point in the series, they're gonna be joking with each other. They're gonna be talking in a way that we wouldn't understand because
I do wish that they kind of like alluded to this isn't the second time they've gotten together. I think part of the strength of all the events they're hitting in the movie series right now, the Civil War, the Infinity War, all the wars, the strength is that these characters have been together for so long that they now have interpersonal conflict, and the team starts falling apart. When we're like, oh, the Avengers are about to get together for the third time ever, and they're going to fight like they were best friends, it's not believable.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like banter, even when it's just like zinger after zinger, and you're like, it's not too cheesy. They do a great job, and I mean, they are all obviously very talented actors, but you don't really get those cringy moments where you're like, oh, that didn't hit as hard as
You
it
get the
was
sense
supposed
that
to.
they're allowed to kind of flex their acting muscles a little bit in this. That they're given room to do their thing, and that shows. That shows they're having fun.
Well, I think it shows more so in this one than it did in the first Avengers.
Right.
Like, the first Avengers, it felt like it was so like it needed to service so many things. It almost felt like it needed to prove itself. Like it needs to prove that we can do this.
Well, I mean, it did. It
and
did
it did.
actually need to do that.
And
It
yeah,
did.
you're right. And this one, it felt like it didn't need to do that, and
Yeah.
maybe it should have a little bit. Like,
Has the opposite problem.
yeah, like this one, it felt like it was like riding on the coattails of the first one a little too much. Like it felt like it's like as long as we nail the characters, everything else will fall into place. And it's like,
It's like, no, you
it
guys
won't.
needed to be a little bit more concerned.
Yeah, but they did a good job. Like the characters, like I said, the characters and the actors, everybody involved did a great job. Especially like, I think Chris Hemsworth did one of the best jobs I've ever seen him do in a movie in this thing. Like he is funny, he's serious, like he is great throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of bums me out that he can't open a movie that isn't a Marvel movie because I think he's fantastic. And then how am I blanking on his name?
Well, maybe that's it. He
Fair.
is fantastic, and he can only do fantastical things.
Could be. Yeah.
That's part of it, for
that's
sure.
a very strong chance.
Jeremy Renner, you're thinking of?
No, it's, Jeremy Renner did fine.
Yeah. No, he
did. He did
I
do
actually
good.
want to talk about him for a second because he was almost the actor that made the most improvement from
Oh,
his other
compared to
couple
other
movies.
Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, did a much better job. He actually felt like Hawkeye this time.
Yeah. And his wisecracking with Elizabeth Olsen was really on point. His being serious with his family was great.
His one-liners.
Yep.
Really
I
good.
mean, he brought it.
He did. And the thing is, like, especially with, like, Hawkeye, because Hawkeye is one of the lesser Avengers. Like, his superpower
Yeah.
is accuracy. Like, it's,
And his hawk-like vision. Look, he
Yeah.
spotted that truck from the helicopter.
he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little hint that, oh, you might have a superpower.
He might be a little special.
Yeah.
But, like, since he is one of the lesser ones, kind of like Black Widow, he did
Yeah.
a very good job still making himself feel essential to the team. Like, it felt like they needed him there, which a lot of times when you have, like, the lesser ones, it could be like, well, yeah, put him in a corner. He'll fire a bow and arrow at some people. And
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
he'll probably hit him.
Oh yeah, and Hawkeye was there. That was neat.
And that was the entire first movie.
Yeah.
Because they made him a villain the whole time, and a villain who was under mind control, so he basically just had to kind of stare blankly at a wall the whole time.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, his
Yeah.
little meta quip about I've been mind controlled. I'm not a big fan was really good.
That was
Yeah.
good. I like that
The
because
timing was
Done the mind
great.
control thing.
Yep.
Not a fan.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I loved Scarlett Johansson in this one too. I think for what Marvel is giving her to work with and the character of
Which is
Black
almost
Widow
nothing.
to work with, like she actually does develop on-screen chemistry with everybody that they make her a love interest with. She was great in Winter Soldier with Captain America. She was great in with what's his name?
Mark Ruffalo.
And she's great with Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk.
It's very much a testament to her because
yeah,
they're not giving
absolutely.
her anything, and she's doing all this with it. Like, imagine if you gave her something.
And this one,
Yeah.
like, just the hint that she has an actual backstory in this one, because they try to do it the first one, where she's like, I got a lot of red in my ledger, I want to clean. I'm like, shut up.
Right.
Like, in this one, like,
Who
by
uses
giving,
that word?
It's actually a plot point.
Ledgers?
That they
Come
release
on.
all of her information. We don't know what any of it is.
And they totally just bury that. Like, oh,
Yeah.
now you're going to be public. Nobody cares.
Right.
And it's like,
Because Avengers is all about pretending that didn't happen.
and Avengers is all about dicks.
And yeah, I love that.
I mean, look at the toy line. I'm not wrong.
Yeah. We'll give you a girl, but she's gonna be packaged with a dude.
Yeah.
That's such a loaded statement.
But the thing is, like, she did a great job, and I think Elizabeth Olsen did a great job. And she
Yeah.
didn't really have a lot to do either.
No,
they
she
really
didn't.
gave the two female characters.
Who they don't know what to do with any of them. They gave
No.
them, like, she did good.
And that's always been kind of Joss Whedon's, like, kind of weak point. I know Buffy, like, I know a lot of people are like, he's great with women. He had Buffy.
Yeah,
It's like,
Buffy was so long ago, though.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to keep improving.
And Buffy was, like, really the only, like, super well-dimensioned character in that show. I know I can hear people screaming at me from somewhere, but I have watched the show. Like, it's like she was
Torch
the only,
Club is coming after you.
Yeah. But honestly, she was the only super well-rounded character in that show, so it's kind of like, And he did the same thing with Dollhouse. So it's like he's great when the woman is the main character, but female side characters, female supporting characters, he's always kind of had trouble with it. So the fact that Scarlett Johansson was able to take a rather, I don't want to say poorly written, but kind of weakly written character.
Standard written almost. Like,
Yeah, standard is a good way to put it.
Of course
Yeah.
they're going to go that direction with her.
Yeah.
Of course, that's just the first thing a dude's going to think.
Yeah, and she made it
Yeah.
well-rounded. She made her have like actual she felt like she had stakes in the whole movie. Like, and they even make her like the princess in another castle at one point. And it's kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And she still makes that work when she's like, yeah, we could run away together, or I could push you off this ledge because we need the Hulk now.
That was great.
And
And it's
to
a
their,
great fucking moment.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
nails it.
and to their credit, I didn't realize I wanted to ship her and the Hulk until this movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, aw, I want them to, I'm going to root for them now.
Yeah. Like that whole
they're so tortured. They
Yeah,
need to- they
their,
need to fix
their
each other.
monster scene
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean you can see her like fully taking on that character.
And it was all them in that scene because the writing on that was it was fine.
That
but
was
like
a-
they did a good job acting the hell out of those lines.
Yes.
That was the first moment of contention. That was the moment that made Joss Whedon quit Twitter. Was the monster scene.
Really?
He
'Cause
quit Twitter?
He quit Twitter.
What does
He-
that mean?
He deleted his account and won't go anywhere near Twitter anymore because he got so much backlash on the line of, so now do you realize you're not the only monster on the team because she can't have kids? The thing was, and if you watch the scene again,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to stand up for like anti-feminism or like that because it wasn't that. That's what it comes down to. Is it wasn't that. She says she's a monster because she was bred to murder people.
Yeah.
She's specifically made to kill people, not have a family, not do anything. That's why she's a monster.
Yeah.
Not that she can't have kids. And the fact that
Her
that
ability
line,
to like she's just a death machine.
Yeah,
She's been
that's
turned into
what
a death
murder machine.
machine.
Exactly.
She does
That's
nothing when she kills people.
yeah. That's what
right.
makes her a monster. Not the fact that she can't have kids. It's just the fact that those lines butted right up next to each other. People went, "Whoa! You're saying people who can't have kids aren't monsters? Down with Joss Whedon!"
I actually think it's stronger that way too, because just because that the internet says a woman isn't a monster because she can't have kids doesn't mean a woman isn't gonna feel that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So if she's like admitting like, "Oh, I really hate that they did this to me," and she's like showing a weak moment, I think that's really powerful too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just I fucking hate the internet.
I do
Sometimes.
Well,
Well,
the
I say
internet,
that as I go to
the
like,
internet can't
listen to
deal.
podcasts on the internet.
I know.
The internet can't deal with characters having their own thoughts and opinions on things that are separate from the person creating it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no one can disconnect that.
Yeah, the whole separate the art from the artist does not happen on the internet.
Nope.
It's fucking kill the artist and the art. All right, let's before we move on to the next thing, we got to talk. If we're gonna keep talking actors, we got to talk. I'm gonna forget his name again. Fuck, I just had it. Blacklist.
Yes.
James Spader?
Spader. Thank you. Yes, the villain Ultron.
Yeah.
We got to talk about
The
him.
most compelling character in the movie by far.
Absolutely.
The
For
who had
no
the
reason
the
at
most,
all,
the
but-
most fun. The guy who had the most fun doing this.
Did
Yeah.
a great job, and yet another fuck up on Marvel's hand. I
Yeah.
think that if it wasn't for the treatment of Ultron in this movie, I think people would love this movie as much as they love the first Avengers. Because I think, although he did a great job and he was a ton of fun, he was a super weak villain.
Yeah.
His plan was terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible. And
Yeah.
because especially with Ultron, because Ultron, I mean, for those of you who don't read the comics, Ultron is like the fucking bee's knees of villains. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
he can get into the internet and into electricity and shut everything down. And they said that would be too much of a defeat for the Avengers, so we're not going to have him do that. It's like, what?
Is he
That's-
supposed to defeat
that's
the
the
Avengers?
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He wins. Like, the Age of Ultron is because there's an Age of Ultron, not a week and a half of Ultron.
Right.
It's like,
Well, why couldn't it have been like everything's shut down and everything's kind of apocalyptic? Like, go there.
If they
You can
don't
do
bring
it.
him back, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah.
Like if
They
the
won't.
Avengers after Civil War are like split up and at their weakest moment, and Thanos is coming to Earth, and oops, Ultron is back, that would be the strongest thing Marvel could do at the end of
yeah,
the series.
and then suddenly this movie still holds weight.
Yep.
But if it really was that he released a bunch of punchable robots and they were able to defeat them because they pulled the internet plug on them somehow.
It makes great poster.
They turned off his Bluetooth.
Yeah. They turned off his Bluetooth and then punched all the robots to death, and somehow that kills Ultron. Like, Ultron's supposed to be bigger than that. Like, he
Right.
can hide anywhere.
which
He
I
could've-
think I'm hoping is the case.
Yeah,
They're
like he
taking
could have
that
fucking
with it,
hidden
but-
his cell phone somewhere else just to save himself, and then went and did this thing, which is what I'm hoping they'd have the
Which
guts to
is,
do. But I agree with Graham. I
They
don't think they would.
Could do, but they're not. They're not.
No.
because that would be a risk. Because that would potentially
Are you saying Marvel doesn't take risks?
Am I saying that? Am I saying that with the most definite yes?
The age of
Hey,
risks.
they have a female superhero movie coming out in like 6 years.
tentative.
They might have a
Maybe.
female superhero.
If everybody is okay with that.
If everyone's
Is
okay.
that okay? Should
And
we
then-
ask first?
In case maybe we might not have an idea for another guy movie then, and if one comes up, we'll just push it.
Yeah, it can be
Captain
pushed
Marvel is coming out, guys. We swear it.
Yeah.
We swear.
We promise.
promise. I promise you.
I'm trying so hard not. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. I'm trying so hard not to just rip into the writing on this. And I know we're talking about
We'll
the
get there. We'll
actors.
get there.
We're moving into
I
that thing.
hate it so much.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're just talking about the actors, on just the actors alone, it's a very well made film. Like they did a great job.
absolutely.
The performances
Amazing.
are great. Okay, so let's move on. So we've talked a little bit about characters. Now I want to talk about basically I'm gonna bring it down a level.
That's
I want to talk about the negativity that comes along with this film, which is the writing, which is the inconsistencies with the Marvel Universe. I want to just kind of hit that stuff because this is, like I said in the beginning of this when we were talking about it, I enjoy this film. When I rewatched it after kind of hating it for a few months, I went, I don't think I'm going to like this rewatch. And then I rewatched it and went, no, I like it. Like there's way more good in this than bad, but there is a lot of bad. But when you have this long of a movie, you can kind of tip the scales.
when you have this many elements that have to tie together, you're gonna have some problems.
Yes. So I kind of hinted at it earlier, and I want to bring it up here. I think the biggest, and you guys might disagree, I think the biggest problem with this movie is that it gives a middle finger to basically the entirety of Phase 2. And this is a sequel to the Avengers.
I can't decide if I like that or hate it because what
I hate it.
What
I
drew
hate
me
it.
into the Marvel Universe to begin with was the way that it was connected. Like I was so fanboy geeking out when I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'm like, it's happening at the same time as in Captain America, and Captain America is referencing the Avengers, and it's like everything's coming together. But I want to respect Joss Whedon's like artistic control, and I think to Marvel like the way that committee was forcing the same universe was part of the Marvel movies' downfall as well. So I can't decide. Maybe the Avengers should be the only movies that don't give a middle finger to the entire Marvel universe, and then they don't make Ant-Man be like, hey, remember the events of New York?
Well, here's my problem with it. It's not that's like I don't need Ultron to be like, oh yeah, that one time when Malekith came into London. Like I don't care about that. Like, that's fine. My problem is that why aren't Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans better friends?
Right.
Like their relationship is completely ignored until the very end of the movie when they're setting up Civil War, and it's like, oh well, now she's going to be his friend again because it's going to be another Captain America movie.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole time of fucking Winter Soldier, they are like besties, and like, they get along great, and they spend so much time building.
He carries
up
her
their
out of the friggin' rubble.
yeah, like they
Yeah.
do
He
such a
saves her
great job
life.
making those characters work, and like that's where Black Widow finally became the character I wanted Black Widow to be, and like they did a great job with it. And then you come into this movie, and they don't share like 2 lines together until the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They
like,
just they shoehorn in Bruce Banner instead that
Yeah.
she's buddy with.
and that's like
Yeah.
that's where
and
I
you get
kinda-
one line from Chris Evans. You're like, oh, I've seen it up close.
Right.
You know, when she's flirting with other people.
Hey, do you
Like,
remember
wait,
that we
what?
were in a
And then
movie
that was it.
together?
Yeah, and he says it to Bruce Banner. He doesn't
Yeah.
say anything to her.
No.
It's just like why wouldn't they be closer?
Oh, hey, Scarlett.
And
She's one of those girls that ignores all her friends when she gets a boyfriend.
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
the hardest.
That doesn't
Yeah.
explain it with a line of dialogue for sure. But it's like,
I'm one of those girls who ignores all other men when I get a boyfriend.
Maybe on the inside,
What's up,
Captain
Bruce?
America is still a little afraid of the Hulk. He's like, I don't want to talk to her in front of him anymore.
I get.
I don't want to piss him off, you know?
I wouldn't like him if he's angry.
No.
Is there maybe like relationship politics that the younger generation have, like where they totally get it, they're watching it and they're just like, oh, I so understand.
That's what I mean.
And then I'm
Even
just like,
if they
what
did,
the
Joss
hell is
Whedon
this?
wouldn't. Like that's.
Like off screen, Bruce was like, dude, bros before hoes.
Bro code, man, bro code.
Let's pound it out. Nice.
Captain
But-
America's dead now.
Yeah.
So again, kind of moving into the negativity of this thing, I think other than that, the other thing that I think is going to be the biggest problem before we move on to the writing and that sort of things is that I never feel now that we're this far in, what are we, 13, 14 movies, something like
Yeah.
that? Like a shitload of movies. There's no consequence.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Biggest
the age of
complaint.
Each one ends in a nice, quick little package
Yep.
that you could watch any of them in any order, and you're like, oh well, everything's fine. It's
Yeah.
It's very episodic.
And that's fine. Like as far as watching the movies go, that's fine. But when I watched Iron Man 3, my biggest complaint was that fucking Tony Stark would not shut up about going into the wormholes. Like, I get it. It was scary. You saw an army.
Yeah.
But now looking back at that, I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, it's a little
Of course,
annoying
he had a
that
little
they
bit of
can't-
PTSD.
Yeah.
and totally makes sense. But why wasn't anyone else affected by this?
Yeah.
And they
now
all
that
played
we're-
it down. It was like, yeah, we remember Tony. Pfft, good.
No, you never bring that up. It's like,
Yeah, you're like, wait, no, but this is the first time we've ever heard him bring it up. Like,
Yeah.
that was so fucking recently. Like, what's the deal?
It's like a giant reset button on their character traits and relationships with each other.
Yeah.
But that's every movie. Like, that's. I don't need them to be talking about Malekith
No.
or
But
fucking anything
it
else.
needs to
they-
feel like there's something we missed out on, and it feels like, oh, I didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Yeah, they need to like show that there was relationships that happened off screen to develop these characters,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah,
the fall
there's
is that
some
much
sort
stronger.
of growth together as a
like,
friendship.
Like,
Yeah.
here's a thing they could have thrown in there. So you had the entire argument in the party scene, which is fucking hilarious, between Thor and Iron Man. Where they're going back and forth about whose girlfriend wife is better, and it's
Right.
really funny and it's comical. But all they needed to do to make that scene make something feel bigger is say they're off doing something together. Oh, why couldn't Jane or Pepper be here? Oh, they had to go to this thing together.
Yeah.
Oh, and now you feel like Thor and Iron Man have a relationship. It's established, and that their girlfriend wives are friends as well, and they're doing their own thing.
Yep.
And suddenly the universe feels bigger, and it feels like there's consequence is the wrong word, but there's like
You don't have to
things
be.
are moving.
You don't have to be explicit and saying
Yeah.
like, "Hey, Malekith came down. Wow, that sucks for London." But then you just little subtle things like relationship things.
But even that, you could have thrown like another. Like, I know the movie's chock full of quips, but you could have thrown in a quip of like Tony Stark saying, "Hey, I had to give a speech at the college that week. You got me out of that. Thanks."
Yeah.
And like, oh, that's kind of funny. Now we're calling back to that this movie happened, and it's like, oh.
And honestly, you could have done that instead of a couple other quips that maybe didn't land as well, or
Yeah.
like take out some of the other stuff. Like for as big as that movie is, it's padded with the wrong things sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where
that's-
I think that kind of brings us well into the writing aspect, which
Yeah.
I'll let Ryan rant and rave about.
Oh, I hate it. We've been nailing it this whole time, but that's my biggest complaint about it. All the things that you just hit, and I'm just really on the edge of my seat, waiting to see what the Russos do with Civil War, and maybe that's the Avengers movie that we wanted this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, now that we are getting Civil War, it really kind of feels like Age of Ultron might have been the wrong step.
Yep.
Like, I mean, as cool as Ultron is, and I fucking like even like the most recent rendition of it, like which wasn't the best special event, but the most recent Age of Ultron comic series, because it was a little ridiculous that Ultron shows up, shuts down the world, and then fucks off to the future so nobody can find him. So it's kind of a weak series. But,
It was, yeah.
but it's
That's
still
hilarious.
cool.
That's
Like,
so him.
that's the whole plot. It's kind of weak, but it works, and it was kind of fun. And like I liked seeing like Ultron can really win fast, and that's terrifying. But at the same time, do we need that right now, or do we want to see the characters more? And a Civil War, like Avengers Civil War, might have been a better film right now as opposed to Avengers Age of Ultron.
And then why isn't the Age of Ultron, why doesn't that have anything to do with the Civil War? If the Civil War trailers are any indication, the Civil War isn't, like the Age of Ultron isn't going to matter in the Civil War. Why isn't this about shutting down Tony Stark, who invented a apocalyptic AI?
Yeah, why is it about stopping Captain America, who helps shut down that AI?
Yeah,
Right.
it seems a little
Captain
ass
America's
backwards.
like it feels backwards. Like
Because
Oh,
Tony
man.
Stark is uncontrollable.
If they had
Yeah.
done a Star Trek flip on Tony Stark and Steve Rogers for Civil War, my mind would have been blown. Like, Steve Rogers is like, "Look, Tony, here's this paper. You have to now work for the government." And Tony's like, "No, I'm an independent man. You can't make me work for the government or report."
That's how he's been set up for all his movies.
Yeah.
All movies up till now. He's his own guy.
Yep.
He's constantly giving the middle finger to the government.
Yeah.
And and why would he be working for them?
Right.
now?
But yeah, that would have been. I mean, we'll do a Civil War episode, in
we will.
a year from now. But
Yeah.
that would have been a much stronger way to go.
Yeah, because it really feels like it's just another boss battle.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
Like we're just like, oh, okay, so this is we've leveled up. All right, so now we've got a new strength here, and we've are really working together better with our friends and stuff. And now this is the next boss. All right, and then you beat it, and you're like, all right, cool. Really, I'm a little bit further, but really no much more consequence to anything else.
And I'm sure the next Civil War trailer will tell us exactly who the boss is and how they come together to fight him at the end.
Yeah, and then win, of course,
And then everybody's
no
fine.
consequences.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Nobody dies
When
except
Doomsday
for
shows up and fucks everything up.
yeah, except for a new character that gets introduced.
Wrong
that,
trailer.
whatever, and then he dies in the same movie, and then
Yep.
move on to the next one.
And then at the end we'll see Thanos like he's puts one gem into the Infinity
Yeah.
Gauntlet. I'm on my way.
I've only found one after 13 movies.
But
They're
here's
gonna
the-
totally kick my ass.
Yeah.
Here's if we had just spent just again kind of about the writing and missed opportunities. If we had spent a little bit more time with Ultron in this movie and had him just exploring everything, so exploring communication, and then he starts
Yeah.
putting things out there. How fucking awesome would it have been to have him just putting things out into space and have him get Thanos on the phone?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
how fucking great would that have been? Of having
Someone call Thanos.
yeah. Well, if he's just like reaching things out there,
Yeah.
he's,
10-10-220.
he's like, I know
Or-
aliens try to attack the Earth. Is anybody trying to take down the Avengers? Who wants to help me take down the Avengers? And fucking Thanos is like, this guy.
Or maybe the Inhumans are like, oh hey, we're out here too
Yeah.
on a Kree planet.
Yeah,
Here we
like-
come.
Like, you have fucking Black Bolt on the phone. Like,
Yeah.
all you need is like something.
Wait, Black Bolt can't use the phone.
My bad.
Someone call Black Bolt. He needs another new phone. He tried to answer it again.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, if he
send a
could have gotten
message.
like send a message, could have gotten anyone else in this movie. If you could actually gotten Thanos and going, yeah, I'm going to kill the Avengers for sure. And he's like, well, I'm doing this right now to start taking them down. And all you need is have a conversation
if-
with the two of them, and actually just figure out a way to get Ultron in space to back himself up out there and still try to take him down. And
What
now we
if
still have Ultron.
Ultron
and we
can't
have,
travel
What
through
if his
space.
what if his intergalactic phone call ended up he just called Star-Lord by accident, and he's like,
Yeah.
hello, who is this? God?
The worst part about this movie, if this movie had literally come out right after the first Avengers, I think we wouldn't be shitting on it so hard. But they really built us up and got our hopes up. Like, after the Avengers, they started taking risks. They're like, hey, guess what? We're going to give you a dark spy thriller movie. Here's Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to give you a heist movie, a buddy comedy heist movie. Here's Ant-Man. We're going to give you,
Yeah.
like, a Space Rangers movie. Here's Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, we're going to take 10 giant steps backward and just give you the plain old superhero mashup that we did with the first Avengers.
with 1,000 punchable robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what you all love and what you really, really want because we tell you to. So enjoy.
Yeah. The only kind of risk they took was putting an Infinity Stone in Vision's head.
Sure.
Because that is not,
So boring.
it's such a boring, because
Yeah.
all it basically says is that Thanos is going to have to kill Vision to get that stone out.
That's great, though.
Yeah.
We actually didn't
the
talk
setup
about
for that
him
is
in
good.
the actor breakdown. But
We
Paul
didn't, which is
Bettany
kind of
was
an insult because he was
fantastic.
great.
He was my favorite.
Amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
he has just been biting. Poor Paul Bentley has just been like, sooner or later I'll have something to do other than his voiceover,
Yeah.
right?
And
hopefully they're really cool.
Yeah.
Who knew he was a handsome man all along?
I did.
But I thought, I really liked Vision in this movie.
He was great. And my other problem is that as much as we love James Spader for voicing Ultron, he gives it so much dark, chaotic, villainous character that I'm like, wait, isn't he supposed to be like a super sterile robotic AI who thinks he's doing the right thing? Why is he talking all creepy to the
Why is he talking all creepy?
Avengers?
And why does he even at one point say, I'm going to reveal all the details of my evil plan?
He's got so much character. That's not an AI.
Yeah, like that's one, that's not an AI. B, why would he think he's doing evil things?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Is
They're
he's
a little
supposed to
too-
think it's the ultimate good thing to do
Yeah.
is wipe out humanity because they're ultimately
Shitty,
I mean,
destroying
shitty
themselves.
writing.
I thought
Yeah.
the humor on
It's
his character
it's
was
ironic.
funny.
It was.
The humor on his character was funny, but I don't know if it belonged to him. That's what, like, after laughing at his like quips and is like, oh no, how'd you get, like, oh man, you just knocked me out of a ship. It's like, that's funny, but Ultron wouldn't do that.
Right.
I laughed, but this is Joss Whedon.
It's
It's very Joss Whedon, but I do like what James Spader did with it. Like,
Yeah.
there are moments that I think
yeah.
were great. Like when he takes Tony Stark out of the fight, he's like, "Yeah, you're not gonna get there." He's like, "I already am there. You'll catch on." Like, it's fantastic. Like they're like they really made him like a great villain in
Yeah.
the first act, and then they just kind of went, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like his last line with Hulk, you're like, oh, for heaven's sake, he's getting thrown out of the ship.
I laughed a lot at that, though.
Yeah,
That-
no, he's
yeah.
got a great amount of one-liners, and
Yes.
James Spader nails all of them. But it's
Spader
like,
was better than the character.
Yep.
yeah. But it's like, why?
And
yeah,
that
exactly. It's like
really
this
just-
doesn't fit. Of like, what are you
It's-
doing?
It's the
Felt
perfect.
like a
Why do
great
you have
Thanos
character?
or a great
Yeah.
Ronin or
Yeah.
any of the villainous characters who kind of know they're doing evil.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Vision pulls off more of Ultron's ideology, really. If anything.
Vision would have been not that he's supposed to be a villain, but that character would have been a way more terrifying villain. I'm like, I don't think I'm bad or good, but I'm going to do this because this is what needs to be done.
Which is his introduction. Like you're like, wait, we've already seen what Ultron, how the evil plan of Ultron does, and now we have Vision, who's like, I don't know if he's good or bad. He doesn't know either. He's like, I just know what's right, and you're like, what's right? Oh my God! Like we as a human race, what is right? Like we don't even know. It's like that's more terrifying than who's the enemy? That guy right there.
They had like a perfect God and devil story that they just was like they mumbled up because it's like you have two sides of a similar ideology and one's bad and one's good. Well, what makes it good? Like they took out all the ponderous nature that makes that interesting.
Yeah.
Like what is the nature of good? What turns you evil?
Oh, the guy who's evil is the guy who says he's evil. Got it.
Yeah.
That's simple. That's easy for me to understand.
And I mean, for me, what would have been the risk Marvel should have taken this is asking those like tough questions. Like, is it humans that are killing the Earth? Like, is that like, and there's your risk. And instead of making it just about killing the Avengers, you take away all the risk and like the message of movies and like really what makes these sort of movies and comics great.
Test their ideologies. Like let's make it make it all about the ideologies and not the actual punching.
Because you really get it, or kind of get Ultron's introduction in, I don't know, 15 seconds, like of when he actually turns himself on. We still don't really know how that actually happened, and then he's playing back all of the war footage, the standard tropes that we understand of like watching humans and understanding humans. You're like, oh, obviously humans are bad, so to save humans, blah blah. Extend that a little bit and have him kind of explain his ideology. The point where he was like, oh, let me explain my evil plan. You're like, no, we don't need to know your evil plan. We just need to know why. Why do you care? Why do you want to? What makes you think
you just nailed it. Why do you care?
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing
I don't give a shit about how you want to do. Like I will see you do this. You will be shown of how this is actually going to happen. But why do you think by doing this you're gonna survive? Or
what do you get out of it?
Yeah.
Other than
a new fleshy body.
Yeah, other than saying I win, what do you gain? Like,
other than becoming like a hybrid Wolverine with a titanium or whatever frame,
Like as much as I shit on
vibranium, they can't
Ronan
say
the Accuser. At least you know what Ronan the Accuser wanted. Like you knew what he got out of it. He wanted revenge. He wanted to build up the Kree people. Like that's what he wanted. Like
another terrible misuse of a Marvel villain.
Totally, but at least you knew what his goal
risky,
was.
Ryan.
You knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
Ultron, you don't know what the fuck he wants, other than to kill the Avengers. But for what?
Yeah.
As the people on the island or anywhere else in the world is like, you want to kill the Avengers? Fine. We're gonna go back and have tea.
I think I could spend a week or two doing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have fun with that, Ultron. I'm gonna go be a normal human being.
No one else knows on the Earth. No one else knows that any of this is actually happening.
No, and and this is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna say about the negativity. Then I want to try to spin back into the positive thing of this. The one thing they could have done to really make this thing that much better is, especially because Ultron has control of the internet, make Ultron make himself invisible.
Sure.
So if he makes it look like, if he can control TV cameras, news crews, internet, everything, take himself out of everything. So all it looks like is that Iron Man and the Hulk showed up and destroyed fucking Brazil.
Yeah.
Genius.
Or they go to this thing here, like then it's
that might last beyond a movie.
Everything they did, Ultron wasn't there, and the Avengers just went from city to city and fucked shit
And
up.
why even bring up that consequence? You're like, well, nobody's calling for the arrest of Hulk yet, but they're talking about it.
Oh my God.
Why even bring that up if you're not even going to
Why is he not a
risk
fugitive
or threat that?
from the law?
Yeah, why isn't everyone like, we need to stop the Hulk now? He just killed so many people.
Yeah. And he even brings it again. He's like, I can't be around people. You're like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you kind of got off the hook,
and you
one
didn't need
time, but
you didn't need like a 20-minute sequence of punching each other out to show that. Like,
Yeah.
we know we've had history.
It was
with
so
Hulk.
good in
it
the
was
Avengers,
awesome,
though, when the Hulk and Thor fought, and that was what we needed, and that was short and to the point.
Yeah.
Although I do love the Hulkbuster scene because it was fucking badass. I do
It's
agree.
amazing.
It went on a little long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fucking the rocket powered punch. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
And then I love the whole.
I'm sorry.
Who owns this building? Can we buy it? Okay, good. Buy it.
How fast can we buy this building?
Yeah.
Like they need to do a director's cut of that scene and shorten it.
Yeah.
Not actually add to it. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's perfect the way it is. I know it's long, but I like
love it. I love
It's kind of like
every second
it's kind of like
it.
going back to last week's episode with the Star Wars episode. I know the extended pod race scene is too long, but it's fun, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I'm entertained throughout the entire thing, so let's keep it. But yes, I understand that it's a little too long for the movie that it serves.
One more thing I want to say about a totally underused, misused character. Well, it's kind of a group, and I'm talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. I remember
Completely
after
forgot
watching,
about this movie.
yeah, right. I remember watching and talking about Winter Soldier, and we had a discussion about Nick Fury and what he was bringing to the table. And I really still liked Nick Fury in Winter Soldier, and I thought he was important, and I thought that he
Relevant.
was going to still have a good role into the Avengers.
Nope.
And then
He saved the day.
he's hiding in the back of a tractor.
How long has he been there?
And then he's gonna come explain. He's gonna come give some Sam Jackson-y lines, and then he's gonna show up with a helicarrier for some friends. Because after making you think that we were gonna tie everything together, we're gonna totally ignore the TV show again.
Yeah,
All they needed to
Hawkeye
do-
telling me, he was like, "Oh yeah, Nick Fury really helped me set this up." Well, he also needed a place to stay in my barn. So
I mean, all that did was prove that they should have killed him in Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Because then all of a sudden you have this movie where they go, "Fuck, I wish Nick Fury was here."
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
And you would have felt it, and it would the movie could have been the same, just with one person at one point going, "I wish Nick Fury was here."
And instead, what you get is they're like, "Oh fuck, how are we gonna solve this problem? How are we gonna solve? Oh shit, how are we gonna solve this problem? How are we gonna solve this problem?" Oh, Nick Fury's here. Nobody asked for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's kind of cool. I guess ships will work. Cool. Yeah, great. But like, thanks, Nick.
But like already,
Good idea, buddy.
Yeah,
But what was his,
because
like,
why couldn't Agent Hill do that?
or what was
She
his
should do that.
Yeah.
She should have done that.
Yeah.
And then you have another strong female character.
Yeah,
Or Daisy.
because she had all the power. All she did was like, "Hey,
Or
Nick.
Daisy.
Hey, Nick,
Fuck.
you should do this." You're like, "Oh yeah, no, I should totally do that," and then does it. You're like, "Why doesn't just kill Nick and then just do it and have her do that?"
Yep.
She has all the same connections.
Yep.
She knows everybody that he does.
But you wouldn't know that if you watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on TV.
Yeah.
because
All right.
that thing is
No,
just like,
I've
they've
never
thrown-
seen it. and
they've
I just,
thrown
like,
that out.
we're playing the long game of getting some like two people interested in humans.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep moving so that
Okay.
we can get through this episode. I want to bring this thing back to
Positivity.
and I want to talk about the things that I want to kind of go around the table and talk about the things that we actually really enjoyed about this movie. Because I mean, when it comes down to it, I can bitch about it for days and I can praise it for days, which is not something I can say about a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But for me, the moment that I will come back to every time when I watch this movie, and then I will go, nope, fuck it, I love it. It's in that last battle sequence, which I know I don't like all the punchable robots, but when they do, you have the swell of music and they have the long, steady shot of all the Avengers fighting all of the robots, and it felt like that classic 2-page splash page in a comic
Yep.
book.
Yep.
I'm like, that was beautiful. It gave me chills, and it was fucking great.
It would have been
That-
so cool if it wasn't in every single trailer for the movie.
Yeah, that was. But gladly, I didn't watch any trailers for the movie.
Yeah,
so
I
kinda,
need to pick up that
You
philosophy.
can't watch trailers anymore.
No.
No, but since I didn't and I never saw it, when I saw that hit in the screen, it was like, fuck, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the opening sequence too. I mean, that opening sequence killed it.
Yep.
It was great.
You know,
The
like, we
banter
need someone
before-
to take out this barracks. Thanks.
Yep.
Amazing.
And
the
even,
whole
the-
thing, they
the-
actually feel like a fighting
it's
Avengers.
moments
team.
like those that lean into its comic book roots and formats like it.
Oh, yeah.
It follows the format and it's a visual representation. That's a true representation of the comic book idea.
And that's
and
when-
something new without just coloring up, just cell
That's-
shading it. And
that's
be like,
how
oh
you-
yeah, it's from a comic book. Woo!
it was like those few moments that made this feel like, oh yeah, Joss Whedon fucking knows his comic books, and it's not like anyone can deny that. He fucking wrote comic books. He knows his shit. But those were the moments where this is how you put a fucking comic book on screen. Fuck Sin City. That's how you do it.
Exactly.
And he nailed it.
Not to say that Sin City's bad, but
No, I like Sin City, but
it's
Sin
just a
City
different.
was
It's a different style.
Yeah,
like you couldn't do Avengers.
Sin City tried
Sin
too
City style.
hard.
No, totally. But I'm just saying that this is what, as me as a child reading comic books,
Yeah.
this is what I wanted to see on screen.
Oh, yeah.
And it was beautiful and so well done.
And you don't have to have a pausable moment for that. You have to get that feeling that you were just looking at the 2-page spread from a moment. And that you don't get that from Sin City. You get pausable moments that looks cool. Cool composition, bro. But then with this, those shots with the Avengers all fighting, it captured the feeling. The
Yeah.
feeling when you're opening that 2-page spread, you're just taking it all in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it surrounds you. I mean,
Yeah.
and with not using all the tricks and whatever, it's just you see it and you're like, whoa! It slows down and then you're in it. You are in that scene and you feel it.
And you're like, oh, there goes Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch is fucking shit up over here.
Yeah.
You have the Hulk just jumping around in the background. You have Vision flying in. I'm like, this is,
Shit's about to go down.
oh, it's great.
Yeah. That's my biggest strength of the movies too. At both Avengers movies, they really nailed the visual style of comic books.
Yeah.
And if I got another version of the original X-Men trilogy, I was going to be disappointed because they didn't at all.
No, they never got it. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I'm afraid of going forward with the Russo brothers is that as good as Winter Soldier was as a film, it felt like a great spy thriller. It did not feel like a comic book movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people disagree with me, but I'm not sure if they can pull off that Joss Whedon-y, this moment feels like a comic book.
And you know what, though? I don't need them to. I would rather them nail the interpersonal relationships that they did with Winter Soldier and dark tones and the feeling of consequences and betrayal.
Yeah.
I would rather see that in Infinity Wars than another slow motion, all the Avengers action scene that we've seen in the trailer.
Well, we got the
That's
moment.
fair.
We got the moment we wanted.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
we
No,
got
we got it in Ultron.
We got it, and to get more of it would be like eating too much. Thanksgiving, you're just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
another one of those shots.
All right, so keep this shit going. What else do people like about it?
I mean, I really like how
like-
this whole, they really all are fighting together again. I mean, this feels like an Avengers movie. They're all using, like, this. I think the first one they felt like they were kind of learning how to work with each other and stuff like that. And this one they actually are throwing people around and, like, using each other and, swinging around and using each other's powers.
Like Thor using Captain America's shield to do like the vibranium, like the
Yep.
big
Yeah.
sound wave thing.
love
and-
that
Yeah,
stuff.
all of their, combos and stuff. You're like, that's super cool. And it feels like they actually were using that in this film. And, yeah. it felt
Other
really
than just
cool.
the one time in the other one with Iron Man and the shield,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was cool, but
Yeah. And then they're, buddy. They're all, just their interactions with each other, especially in fight sequences, was amazing.
I'm super excited to see that happen against each other in Civil War.
I am too. I'm really trying to stop my excitement for that movie because I can't get overhyped for these things anymore because then I guarantee I'll be let down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Can I mention a teeny thing that I liked about the movie? Friggin'
it's Jeremy Renner's butt, then
Andy
no.
Serkis.
Andy
Amazing.
Serkis!
Performance. I had no idea who was going to be in there, and then I saw him, and I was like, I know that guy. And you can't recognize him at first, and he has like
Right.
a teeny tiny part, but I just remembered that.
Another
I was so excited
incredibly
when I saw him on
underused
screen.
character. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he's all set
Super
up.
good scene, though.
I mean, he's all set up. That entire sequence
Hopefully.
is set. I mean, hopefully if they do it right, but he should be a setup for Black Panther. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be the villain in Black Panther.
Oh.
So it's like, if they do follow through on that promise, I'm like, after seeing him in this movie, I'm like, oh, fucking sold.
Spoiler alert, he's going to get a new hand.
Well, he kind of needs one. Ultron ripped that shit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I am.
Ooh, I'm sure that'll be
such
okay.
a good line. I'm sure that'll be okay.
No reason for him to go to Wakanda on screen except to deliver those lines.
Yeah. But if they do follow through on that, I am so excited.
Me too.
I mean, really, any excuse for Andy Serkis is a good excuse.
Yeah. Especially if they, I know he's the mocap pro, and in this he's just a human. But if they end up doing some like hybrid motion capture claw, that would be really cool.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited for the next Apes movie. I know I might be the only one, but I fucking love those things.
Yeah. They're
He's
super
so good in them.
I like the humor, the meta humor in there, even though it does detract a
The
lot.
Joss Whedon humor.
Yeah.
I like it. Like anytime Ultron says something like, "Oh, what?" like you again, or like when Hulk jumps up there, he's like, "Oh God!" Like
Yeah.
those moments were so fun and brought a levity that like Marvel needs to keep. Maybe put them in the movies better, but if they keep those, that keeps what I like most about Marvel versus like DC. Because when I want like a really gritty actiony, that's where DC's going. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm into that. That's what that is. But for Marvel, if they lose that sense of fun and kind of humor, that meta humor, like I don't know, like that kind of keeps it going, even through some of the tougher moments.
Yeah.
And I just like that humor in general.
Yeah, and
It-
Joss is
it-
pretty good about nailing.
And it comes from a place
most
of
them.
it comes from a place of really liking the material and being a big fan of the material, because it's not hateful humor, and I can't describe it better than that. But there's a sense of like, this is humor that's like, we all love comics. Join in me with how fun this is.
Yeah.
Versus like,
I think the best running joke that shows that is the language joke.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that joke.
Like that running joke of "Don't swear around Captain America."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that. Like, that is perfect.
that nails like something that he had in the comic books, where he's like, it shows that he's too good for his own good.
Yeah.
yeah, those little moments, and even my favorite parts are mostly those moments where those get to shine, those quieter moments.
Yeah.
Like even when they're just healing up at the cabin, that Hawkeye has a cabin. He's got this secret life. He's the linchpin, and there's kind of all this like backstory. Like those quiet moments, those humorous moments. Really liked it. There were a lot of those in this, and it really kind of shined to it.
Yeah.
I really wish we would have gotten more like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch backstory though, instead of Hawkeye backstory. I mean, Hawkeye definitely deserved a backstory, but at this point, I would almost go watch a Hawkeye and Black Widow movie.
I watch a Black Widow movie tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've done such a good job with her, and especially compared to like the first Iron Man movie when it was just check it out, Scarlett Johansson's got a great ass.
Yeah.
And like now they have taken her from just basically just a TNA character, kind of insulting, not feministic at all, and made her like a feminist, really awesome character. Even with, as I said earlier, Joss Whedon's kind of weak female side character writing, she's done such a great job. I am excited to see more Black Widow.
Yeah.
And especially kind of how I think her character's going to go in Civil War. Like I love that character. I want to see her. I want a Black Widow movie, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I don't know why we're getting a Captain Marvel movie before Black Widow. Great, we get another character, but you could easily throw Captain Marvel into Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you have her. Perfect, great, and she's awesome. Give us a Black Widow movie instead.
Yeah.
And I don't know why fucking Marvel is just, maybe. Why?
Because they took away her superpowers too for the movie. You know, in the comic books, she's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I can punch and I got these new batons or whatever.
Well, they can actually like give her those. Like, you have the opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
And add like you're making your own universe.
Yeah.
Like different from the comics. So
yeah.
give her extra abilities. Give her those. Like,
I would love to see her be able to hold her own against Steve Rogers, like with super serum or whatever.
yeah.
And all you really need to do is just not call attention to it and just have her one day fight him for whatever. If they were to do it in Civil War where she fights him and it's like, what the fuck? And she's like, oh yeah, I kind of hold back a lot.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh,
I don't want to
shit.
embarrass you, boys.
That would be a great line.
That'd be amazing.
It would be a great moment, like in The Princess Bride, where it's like, I'm not left-handed either. Like, I want that moment in Civil War with Black Widow.
Like when she had the line about Thor's hammer, it was so spot on.
Yeah.
I don't need to answer that question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just play on that. Like, no, I know I can, but I don't need to.
Oh, it'd be so good. But you're bringing into what I wanted to do right before we move into quotes, which is, I think, kind of against our podcast, but I don't give a shit. I want to talk about Avengers 3 and what we want from it.
That's not a bad idea.
More Hawkeye. I think we all want more Hawkeye.
I can go first because I have been thinking about it for a little bit, so I have an answer preloaded.
Okay.
What I want from Avengers 3, as much as I want to say is I want to see the Defenders in it because I think that'd be awesome. I don't think they're going to do it, though.
Nope.
No.
What I want to see is I want to see all the Avengers have to fight one guy. I don't want to see a bunch of henchmen. I don't want to see a bunch of Chitauri. I don't want to see a bunch of Kree. I want to see all of the Avengers. I want to see like all of them. So everyone that we have so far, including the Guardians of the Galaxy, I want to see everybody have to try to fight one guy and not be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was going to be my thing. I want to see him lose.
Yep.
I want to see him take a risk. I want to see them of like actually facing something and not be able to win, to get over it.
I would love to be able to see them, like, the fucking, however many people there'd be, like, 8, 9 people. Like, I don't care. I know people are like, oh, too many people. Shut up. I don't care. It's an Avengers book. That's what you're going to get.
Right? Yeah, it's supposed to be as many as possible. I mean, it's...
When you read the book sometimes, it's just a room full of people in crazy costumes that you haven't heard of in, like, years. But they're still in the background like, I have a voice, too.
Yeah.
And, like, that's great. And so I want to see is I want to see
cool thing I can do.
I want to see 9 people go up against Thanos and get their asses kicked.
Yep.
So when they're like, well, if we're all going to fight together, there's no way we can. Oh God, we lost.
Yep.
Because even Steve Rogers mentions it. Because let's see.
It's all
Iron Man was like, we'll fight and we'll just do it. And he's like, we'll lose.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we'll do that together too. You're like, then do that. Then
please.
lose together.
But my problem is that Iron Man's saying they're going to lose against the army he saw in space.
Yeah.
I want to see them lose to just one guy.
Yeah.
Because so far, really, no one's been able to do that.
Yeah.
Like we talked about a comic book movie not that long ago where we actually Big Hero 6, where we finally saw a whole team fight one guy, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
The movie itself is okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to see a team of people try to fight one guy and not be able to do it, and like that, there's something about that makes that villain actually feel like a threat.
Yep.
Whereas if you need 1,000 punchable bad guys, I don't care.
Yeah.
And what I want to see too is like we've seen so many iterations of the Infinity Gauntlet in comic books, and we know that it's basically gives you godlike powers over time and space. So I need to see all the Avengers go to space and try to fight Thanos with their superpowers and their punching and lose. I would love to see some of them die or otherwise be permanently removed from the Marvel universe, like Steve Rogers sapping or another dimension, whatever bullshit they do to him in the comic books. And I need to see them come back together and use their wits. Like, I need to see a dark note at the end of the first movie, and in the second movie, they outsmart Thanos, just like in the comic books. They outsmart him into giving up the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. It's got to be they win through something other than punching.
Yeah.
Yeah, sheer brawn. Yeah.
Like, they don't call in, the Guardians of the Galaxy have shown up with Nova and Captain Marvel punches him harder than everyone else has.
Yeah.
That would be the worst ending I've ever seen to that movie.
And that's
What you really need is a bigger fist.
You just see Nowhere with the giant head come through space. Oh, it had a fist behind it the whole time.
Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
The fisting.
The fist continues.
Oh, enter the fist. We can keep going forever and ever. Consequence. I want to bounce off a consequence. I want there to be no one that can go back. You can't go back to the way things were. I want disrupted status quo. I don't want... Tony Stark needs to be gone by the end of Infinity War. He needs to be gone.
But I love Tony Stark.
Yeah, I do
too,
but that's what will make it good.
I have one more.
I need to miss him. I need to miss him.
I have
And
one
right
more
now
thing I want to throw in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Tony Stark, Captain... Like, the people that made the cinematic universe, they need to be gone.
Yeah.
Except for the Hulk. I love the Hulk, and I will just... He needs to be more. But get rid of Iron Man. Get rid of Captain America in that iteration. Get rid of...
Hulk's in space, man.
Yeah.
Not yet.
He's on his way.
He's in
He's on his
Japan.
way.
Oh, yeah.
I have one more completely shallow and totally bullshit, like, third grader thing that I want to see in this movie.
Okay.
I want Tony Stark to don his outer space Guardians of the Galaxy suit.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
right?
I'd be down for that. Yeah.
And then leave the end of the movie into space with Guardians of the Galaxy. Nicely wraps up Phase 3.
But
On to some new heroes.
Even have, like, Tony Stark make good on his, like, redemption of his personal character. He kind of does something to help people out. Like, he kind of closes the seal, but he kind of learns a little bit of selflessness there.
Like,
Own it. Sacrifice himself.
He does. He needs to leave the Earth to really sacrifice himself for Earthlings, because he just fucks it up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of payoff that needs to happen with his character that if it doesn't happen, then that's it. That's...
Danielle, do you have one?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like what you guys are saying, just higher stakes. Because even if they keep saying, oh, the entire world's at risk right now, you don't really feel it.
Yeah.
So to actually get something, I think, a little darker. And I feel like for the Avengers movies, they are kind of a little more youthful, targeted more towards kids with, like, all the big explosions, huge, like, fight scenes and everything. That's great and all. It's entertaining for a little while, but then you actually need to feel that there are going to be consequences. Instead of just 2/3 of the way through the movie, it's all just like, oh, I'm feeling a little discouraged. I don't know if I can do this. And you're like, yeah, you can.
Please go see any Pixar movie if you want a great example of how to make a movie that's fun for kids and also gets to adults.
Also,
That
trust
would
that
be
kids
great.
are good at watching things.
Yeah.
We had a lot of dark shit that we watched when we were kids.
Yeah.
And we're cool people, right?
Yeah.
We're okay.
You better say I'm cool or I'll murder you.
Some of us more than others, but... No, but, like, kids can take a lot in terms of what they watch, what they absorb. Like, if you watch... Like, kids would be okay watching Toy Story 3 with the incinerator scene. Like, you could even go further. Like, kids are durable.
Yep.
Yeah.
In their
Don't-
mental faculties. We actually
Don't
get
ask
less
my brother
durable.
about that. but
And
yes.
Yeah.
and the kicker is that if you trust the kids to be okay with this sort of thing, you made a movie they will love the rest of their life.
Yep.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you make this kind of shallow, forgettable thing, you made a movie that made money now, true, but it's not going to make money in the long run.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you better believe kids still buy Toy Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toy Story's still
And-
making money for Disney.
By the time now that, like, all of these movies, like, we've spanned a good amount of time. The kids have grown up with this stuff. So
Oh, yeah,
grow
absolutely.
up with the kids. I mean, that's why we love, like, all of the other series that we watch, is because we've grown up with them.
Yeah.
And they've grown up with us. It's like, give us that more adult, or if that's what you want to call it, payback.
Yeah. We're going to move into quotes. We're moving into quotes. I'm going to go first because I love my quote. And I'm hoping I'm stealing somebody so they can get really mad at me, but I don't care. So mine comes in the very beginning of the film. That's after they have done their first battle, and the Hulk is really kind of like, I killed people. Like, I'm not okay with this.
Yeah.
Like, it's the first time we kind of see the Hulk is really not proud of being the Hulk. And Scarlett Johansson's trying to, like, no, it's okay. Like, you did a good job. You did a really good job. Thor, report on the Hulk. And Thor turns around and goes, the gates of hell are filled with the screams of his victims. And that really upsets Bruce. And he goes, but not the screams of the dead, of course. No, wounded screams. Mainly whimpering, a great deal of complaining about sprained deltoids and gout.
Yeah.
Perfect Thor line.
He had a lot of good ones.
He really did. All right, next.
Mine is from Hawkeye. I love Hawkeye. In the final battle sequence, Quicksilver like just runs past him and is like, "Keep up, old man."
Yeah.
And then he just kind of pauses and then holds up his bow. Is like, "Nobody would know."
I know.
Nobody. The last I saw him, Ultron was sitting on him. Yeah, he'll be missed. Quick little bastard. I miss him already.
Did you see that amazing blooper reel clip where it's like Hawkeye sitting really sadly over Quicksilver's body as the thing is flying away at the end, and Hawkeye just leans down and covers his mouth and nose?
I didn't see that.
Oh, it's funny.
Oh man, my quote's from Hawkeye too, and this is when they are Scarlet Witch is kind of having a very like brief and if you blink you miss it meltdown, which she's famous for in the comic books. And he like gives her an inspiring speech, and it ends with, "And the city is flying, and I have a bow and arrow, and we're fighting an army robot, and none of this makes sense."
Yeah, and like Ren's was like, "Yeah, I have a bow and arrow." All right.
I love his overly meta lines, and that goes back to his other one about the mind control too.
Yeah. And that's very Hawkeye.
Yep.
Yeah. No, he was great in this movie. I mean, super linchpin in this one.
I just have kind of a throwaway line. It's all in the delivery, though. It was Thor. It was actually when he and Tony Stark are arguing over girlfriends, whose is better, because it makes him so mortal. And he goes on and on and on, just with this bravado about how he's a god and everything. And all of a sudden, you think the argument's over, whose girlfriend is better, and they kind of walk away, and he just throws away. He's like, Jane is better.
Yep. He's very much a Greek god who they're very petty people and still fall to all the human flaws.
It's a small moment, but kind of to the sense of humor thing I mentioned earlier. Tony Stark's looking for that secret door. He's like, "Please be a secret door.
Yep.
Please be a secret door. Please be a secret." It opens the door. Yay! Like that moment, I was like, "Oh,
Yep.
yeah."
It's very Tony Stark too.
Yeah.
I love those little lines are where Joss Whedon shines in writing dialogue for these characters.
Where he
and
sneaks it in. It's
Yeah.
almost like he's sneaking these in, and
Yeah.
like, oh,
It's
yeah,
terrible at broad strokes.
aren't we all?
So for the review system, ensemble casts. So that is a movie where the entire movie is based around how many people they throw into it. I'm going to go first because, I'm cheating. And I'm going to go with Snatch. So Snatch is an ensemble cast of sorts. It basically has a lot of people, mostly British actors, but all people who are like at the top of their game, like Vinnie Jones, and it had Jason Statham, and it had Brad Pitt, and it had just a lot of people that just kind of threw in a movie with kind of a ludicrous concept. And ultimately, the reason that I loved watching Snatch was to watch all these people sometimes intermix and then talk to each other, and it was a really kind of fun moments. The movie itself, people get mad when I say this, it's okay. I like Snatch. It's fine. It has good moments, but I go back to it to watch those people on screen interact together.
Well, like all of his movies.
Yeah,
And it's got quotables. Quotables
it does.
in there.
Yeah,
Some fun quotables.
So I like it. It's not the best movie ever, but it works, much like the Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Cool. I'll go next. In keeping with the theme of superhero movies, I'm going to actually go with the superhero movie Mystery Men.
Oh, wow.
If you want to know my sense of humor, Galaxy Quest and Mystery Men are my sense of humor.
Oh, one of those is funny.
Yeah. Which would explain me a lot. One of me is funny. But no, Mystery Men is hilarious, and it brings a lot of weird, quirky people together in unexpected ways, and there's that meta humor throughout the whole thing.
Next.
I'll go next. Ocean's 12.
Okay.
Definitely not Ocean's 11 because that movie was good. 12 was the one with the whole meta joke, right? About Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Ugh.
And an entirely underused villain. I mean, he was fine, but
But they beat him the first 15 minutes, and the rest of the movie's completely worthless.
yep. And I'm going to tie it all together with Don Cheadle.
Well done.
It's unacceptable.
I'm going to go with Galaxy Quest.
Nice.
Because I love that movie. It's fun. It's it's a riot through the whole thing. It's totally rewatchable. Whenever I see it, like on TV or whatever, I'm like, yes, I'm in the mood for this movie, and I'll watch it repeatedly. And yeah, Tony Shalhoub's really, really great.
I love Tony Shalhoub in
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
He exploded.
And okay, yeah, and another point, amazing one-liners, especially from Tony Shalhoub. And the Rock Monster. Yeah, it's great.
Can you construct a rudimentary lathe?
I'm having so much trouble right now. Honestly, the only movie I can think of right now where I absolutely love every single person in the cast is Tombstone, and that's also one of my most favorite movies ever. But you not only have, Kurt Russell, what is his name, Sam, whatever, that I think is so freaking cute. Old-timey, gravelly voice, mustache guy. Bill Paxton, and then Michael Biehn plays the Johnny Ringo. I love that movie. Incredible cast, and you have like you get plenty of action, but then the dialogue I think is absolutely amazing too. And it's not like that crazy good of a. If you look at the summary and the synopsis, it doesn't seem like that great of a movie, but I love it. I'll watch it over and over and over and over again.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to bring the episode to a close.
Goodbye. I want to
Next
be here
week-
forever.
Next week, we have our Christmas episode coming up, which I mentioned last week is Best Christmas TV Specials. And after that, we have nothing for, I think, a week or two, depending on how our schedule works out.
I think the spreadsheet said 2.
It might be 2. I could be wrong. But either way, it'll be a little bit of time off so we can go
Be with our families.
do our
Family
respective
time.
holiday
Yay.
thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back in January with a couple episodes and we'll do our best of 2015 episode and all those sorts of things.
Oh.
And then we might start shaking things up a little bit, but I'll mention that or go into detail on that a little bit later. But it should be exciting. I'm getting excited right now.
I can see it.
Okay, so with that, bye.
Bye.